Let's bring in Sam Stein, the managing editor at The Bulwark and an MS Now contributor. And joining me here in studio is Maya Rupert, who served in senior roles for the Elizabeth Warren and Julian Castro campaigns. Sam, there's been a lot of backlash that we're seeing to the name change. Do you think that this is going to have a big impact or be a bigger problem, not just for Trump, but also the entire Republican Party?
It's one of those things that can be both a distraction and emblematic of something bigger that would be harmful for the Republican Party. The more that Donald Trump goes about redecorating the White House, the ballroom, and Washington, D.C. writ large, the more he seems preoccupied with the ratings at the Kennedy Center Honors Program and having his name on various institutions, not just the Kennedy Center, but the U.S. Institute of Peace. The more voters are going to say, wait a second, why is he prioritizing this stuff versus my basic cost of living? And so for that reason, I think Trump is doing some harm to himself and running some risk. Of course, all this is going to be reversed as soon as a Democratic president takes office. I have to imagine that anytime the power is going to change, they're going to say, okay, we're going to take that name off of the Kennedy Center. Not exactly something we want. And so it's all for short-term gain, and it makes you wonder why he's doing it. And the only obvious answer to that is that it's feeding his very sizable ego.
Right, because a name change to the Kennedy Center, like a name change to the Department of Defense, has to be done by Congress. Maya, is this something that Democrats are going to use in the upcoming midterms, or do you think that they need to steer clear of it and focus on other issues?
I think that Democrats need to steer clear of this, focus on other issues, because that's what voters are going to be doing, right? I think more than anything, what this shows is that Trump is willing to focus on all of these other things that really aren't impacting, to Sam's point, anyone's quality of life, anyone's cost of living day to day. And I think that getting into an argument about what the Kennedy Center should be called is going to take everyone sort of down a lane that no one really wants, and truthfully will allow, I think, Republicans to try to distinguish themselves and make this, well, Trump is doing all of that for his ego. The Republican Party can do something different. And I think every Republican needs to own the economy as it stands right now, the inflation level, the unemployment levels. So making sure that this isn't about just Donald Trump being Donald Trump, and these issues are, sort of as distractions, not focusing on those, I think is going to be the way that Democrats get the most value out of what Trump is doing.
You're kind of staying with that old truth, which is if your opponent is hurting themselves, you just let them continue hurting themselves instead of getting in their way. But Sam, how are Republicans going to explain this to their constituents? Because, as you said, the president is often posting about this, posting about marble armrests that he wants for the Kennedy Center and posting about massive renovations to a new ballroom at the White House. How, if you're a Republican, do you say, no, but we are focused on affordability while the president is talking about all these other things?
I don't know. I mean, I guess their hope is that it just doesn't come up all that often, right? It's that people care, that it's sort of a beltway conversation and literally is in Washington, D.C. and has nothing to do with people back home. But I don't think that's actually necessarily true. I think this stuff does permeate into the conversation writ large. It could be the remodeling, or I should say destruction of the East Wing for the ballroom, but little things too, like these weird plaques that he's put up on the colonnade, mocking Joe Biden as, an auto pen and all the other Democrats that he's taking time to write. I mean, those are weird things that Republicans, if they were to have to answer for them, frankly, it would be a real struggle to find something coherent to say. I think the only thing you can say is, look, the president's going to do what he's going to do. He has his own unique way of going about life and politics, and I'm focused on things that actually matter. In a way, it allows you to break from Trump, but it's not exactly the type of break you want. It proves that your party's leader, the person who's setting the agenda, is just plain old distracted by pretty petty stuff.
To your point, Sam, I want to read some stuff that came from top Republican operative Karl Rove, who argues that the public is, quote, tiring of President Trump's antics, saying he went too far with the Kennedy Center name change. And top Democratic strategist David Axelrod says this issue could hurt Republicans in the midterms.
I think this is a huge political problem for him. It's a symbol of his distraction. It's the Marie Antoinette thing that he's got going. That is a big political problem. And not for him, as Charlie points out, he's not on the ballot in next November, but Republicans should be really concerned about what they're seeing.
So, Maya, I know that you said don't get in the way of Trump, but as Axelrod is laying out there, it's kind of a layup for Democrats. Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. I mean, why not just create that contrast?
Because Donald Trump isn't running again. And I think this is the part that is going to be too easy for Republicans to start to do. And Democrats really need to jealously guard against. And that is reducing this moment. The article that you quoted by Karl Rove, he talks about, employment non-farm employment actually being great and inflation being low. But it's the president's antics everyone is tiring of. And that's what I think Democrats need to be very, very wary of. It's not the president's antics. It is the entire way that he has governed and that this Republican Party has not just allowed him to govern, but has actively worked with him to do. So if Democrats want the entire party to own this moment, it cannot be reduced to Donald Trump likes to put his names on things. Voters don't like that. Trump will keep doing it. Voters can get as mad about it as they want to do. But I think Democrats need to be narrowly focused on the ways that Trump has been governing that helps no one, because that is something that all the Republicans who are running for midterm elections right now, they're either going to have to answer for it or own it. And if we make it about whose name is on the Kennedy Center, that's a Trump thing. And I think that's what we need to be really cautious about. There's going to be a lot of moves right now. Donald Trump can't run in the midterms. He can't run in 28. There are going to be a lot of moves right now to try to make it seem like all the chaos of this administration have been about silly things that Trump has done. And now the statesmen of the party are going to try to come up and just say, we'll do it differently. If they haven't done it differently now, Democrats cannot let them get away with that. And I think that's the message we need going into the midterms and into 28.
And some of those antics were also what hurt the president's party the first time he was
Absolutely.
in office. Sam Stein, Maya Rupert, thank you.